Jim Cramer joins me on the floor of the NYSE. I'm Catherine Ross at TheStreet. Jim, let's talk about Apple. Why is it stock of the day today?
Well, look, I think that people understand, again, Apple started up $1 in the pre-market trade. It's down already, and that's because Tony Sacconaghi is saying basically, look, he was on halftime, that business it's going to have another shortfall. And one of the reasons it's going to have another shortfall is what we're writing about, which is Huawei. This has become a grudge match in China. Now, China's responsible for 100% of the shortfall in the numbers of the pre-announcement. Tim Cook did tell me that January is better, but didn't necessarily signal China. But what I think is most important is that I think that there is a concerted effort by actual Chinese people to be more patriotic. And this was something that Tim Cook brought up. It's nothing I'm making up. And the way to show your patriotism is to buy Huawei phones. Or Xiaomi too, but Huawei is in the fire line, and our man Kevin Kerr, our stock of the day, is really done great work on the lawsuit. Just to be able to show you, and why does the lawsuit matter, the U.S. attorney, is because this is really what Peter Navarro, who is really the president's trade and industrial policy, manufacturing policy, I'd say the guru, and Lighthouser, that lawsuit is about what they're talking about. And the Kudlow Mnuchin camp is not talking about that. So I think that if you have trade talks that go on this week to try to get before the deadline, you have to read and understand what stock of the day is about. Because it's about whether they can possibly ever reach a trade agreement when you know that Huawei is the enemy of the United States. Enemy of the United States.
And Kevin just posted his first piece of the day, and you retweeted it as a must-read.
Yes, it is a must-read. I think that I just want people to understand the stakes. The lawsuit has been widely ignored. I find a lot of times if it's in the Southern District of New York, it gets all the attention. If it's in the District of Brooklyn, it doesn't get any attention. That's why our man Kevin was over there doing full day's work, doing yeoman work on that to do stock of the day.
The market's up today. Do you think that it'll stay up?
I don't know. I mean, it's funny that you asked me that because last night oil was down 60 cents and the futures were down slightly. And then oil rallied to being down only about 30 cents and the futures then exploded. And then oil went back to being down more than $1 and then the futures went down. And so you have the futures, there's very thin trading for some reason of which I don't understand, except for we just seem to have fewer and fewer people playing. You can look around here. There was another group of people who were laid off, I don't know what's happening here. But I do know that thin trading means Chicago's in charge. And when Chicago's in charge, when I say the futures, they're entirely linked to oil. And so anybody who thinks that oil is not the driver, and what I would point out, the rig count went up very big on Friday. If you go over Rusty Brazil's work, it's Braziel, he's my use, RBN, he's got a website, then what you'll see is that the Permian, far from what people may think, is not only not tapped out, but continues to ramp up. And because of refinery issues, we send more oil overseas. Now, the president misspoke at the State of the Union. He said we're a net exporter. We're not a net exporter, we're a net importer. But if you include Canada, you could argue that we're flat. But the United States is shipping a tremendous amount of oil overseas, and that is roiling the market. Obviously, we have on the flip side, we've got Venezuela going down. But if you do think that there's going to be a change in government in Venezuela, then you're going to have oil right back to 45. Now, I think the range is 55, 45, because that's the actual supply and demand levels. And the reason I say that is because you have to look at the futures curve out 5 years, and it's right there. So the fact that that's where the 5-year is really never changed. So that move up to 70 was mistaken. And if it went to 40, it would be mistaken. So let's understand that this is the battleground area, but that you shouldn't just be constantly selling or buying stocks off that. And really, a lot of people want to say that oil is China. And that's just it has not been the case. For instance, they would say, well, listen, China's back online after the lunar, so let's buy. It's not the case. I have a real money piece about what's really going on in China.
Thank you for mentioning that.
And
so let's talk about that.
Piece. Sure. Well, what I say is that there's just such misperceptions about China. For instance, there's the short of the consumer stocks, and that's been not good. It's been difficult is what I call it, and Nike is the winner there. Okay, and Starbucks has been very good. Yum China's been good. Estee Lauder's been fabulous. It's very much linked to China. Then there's the capital goods slowdown story, which is very real. And when you see this Chinese numbers about the economic, could they be near contraction? Yes. So the capital goods guys get very hurt. And then there's the tech story, which is Apple. And Apple's kind of a combination of a slowdown, price competition, and patriotism. Apple has the most to lose. There's the NVIDIA has a big exposure because of Chinese gaming. And what I would urge people to do is recognize that while I still continue to say own Apple, don't trade it, in part because, look, Apple went from 142 to 170, and all these people who told you to get out of it told you to get out between 150 and 142. But if you get a trade agreement, then you're going to have a rocket on your hands. If you don't have a trade agreement, you'll probably see that same level.
And for viewers who don't already know, Jim's Real Money column this morning was, as it's aptly called, a China cheat sheet.
Yes,
which is,
I want people to have it ahead of any agreement. And I spent a lot of time on it this weekend, and I hope people like it. When you do a longer think piece, you can't just, sadly, it's like you got to go back and look at all the numbers. But these are companies, all the companies that are in the piece I keep up with pretty closely.
I want to talk about Activision Blizzard because they report tomorrow.
Right.
There's also reports that they're going to lay off a large number.
It's really interesting because if you look at what happened with EA, was EA reported, and they spent a lot of time talking about how they made a mistake because they were having single shooter, so to speak, games. And so a lot of people got shorted, a lot of people sold it. And then they unveil Apex Legends, which is a battle royale game, and it gets 1 million that first day and 10 million within 3 days. And so now that stock's giant short squeeze. So if Activision Blizzard were to reveal that they've got the next big one, it would matter. They do have a lot of esports, but the fact is, this is a what have you done for me lately business, and they've not done well. I think it can hold this level, but it's overvalued. Take-Two is the one that's the biggest quandary because Strauss-Zelnick did talk about a little bit of potential weakness in Grand Theft. Really fabulous for NBA 2K, and Red Dead's good. But EA is a short squeeze of unfathomable proportions. Activision must know what to do, which is quickly get their games to be Battle Royale.
And you said, and I don't want to directly quote you, but you said that there might be a surprise from Activision Blizzard's
I just think
report?
that Bobby Kotick is a very clever fellow. I've known Bobby since 1984. And in light of what happened with EA, there's a lot of negativity built into ATVI. You can talk about a single shooter game. I mean, look, I have Hasbro on tonight. They have some E-game stuff. And if you have E-game and then it can be Battle Royale, it's a winner because that's what's loved. So I think let's stay close to that. I'm not recommending that stock. I think that the short squeeze EA is so telling, though, that it's entirely possible that maybe he has something up his sleeve. I don't want to short it, is what I'm saying. I don't like battleground stocks. I like battleground games.
So do I.
My friend who owns Helix, which is outside of Murphy Vanderbilt, a really sensational guy, owns this thing called Helix, which is a big, probably the biggest gaming venue in the country. Right outside the Lincoln Tunnel in Bergen County. And I mean, I saw footage of his place at 11:30 on this Saturday night. It was insane.
Why? Why is it insane?
Well, because his place is, he has more. It's very hard to have all the up-to-date gaming equipment because there's such shortages throughout the country. AMD, a tough Logitech shortage. That's why I like what Bracken Darrell's doing, Logitech very much. Omen, the Hewlett-Packard shortage. So what's happened is that shortage of games, but everybody let's take the example of, here's what's really going on. If you want to get a football scholarship, you got to start very early, and then you can go to Popcorn, or you can move up in Summit. There's we have teams, then we have high school, and what happens is that then you try to get recruited at college. Okay, baseball has minor leagues, and you go up. American Legion Ball, because there's going to be let's say out 8 years or 7 years, scholarships for esports, the NCAA. Parents recognize that maybe this is the next big thing. So you have a lot of 12, 13, 14-year-olds really boning up on these games. And, of course, it's loved. I mean, we know it's all loved. NBA 2K is doing extraordinarily well, by the way. But the Battle Royale is not containable. It's just the hottest thing in the world.
All right, Jim, we got to switch over to our Action Alerts Plus video.
I do want to point out that thank you to well wishers for my birthday. I was too busy preparing for our 11:30 conference call on Wednesday to partake in as much, but it was okay because my wife worked at the Longshoreman. And when she's there, she worked 5 hours Saturday. What a trooper. 5 hours Saturday and 4 hours Sunday. We just started brunch. I had some nice people who came in because I tweeted that's when I got most of my work done. But there is, between that and watching the Fire Festival, watching the 76ers Fire Festival, I only watched the Netflix. I didn't watch the Hulu.
I hear you got to watch the Hulu.
It's a good one. It was, I don't have the Magnesis card. There was a lot of nice well-wishing. I just want to point that out because I was unable to send hearts to everybody because my wife said, don't forget me, send a heart to me. And that's what it was.
All right, we're going to switch over to our Action Alerts Plus video. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you guys tomorrow.